everyone, Bethany Scott here and welcome to my channel. Today we're doing a little something different. It's World Card Making Day as of when I'm filming this. We'll see when I actually have the time to post it and edit it, if I need to edit it. My children have been a little extra loud today, so we'll see how that goes. But let me show you what I have on my desk. This is something I did this over the summer. I think actually I did it in spring originally, but I was finding that whenever I had gaps in my schedule, I wanted inspiration, but I didn't really know what I wanted to play with. And whenever I felt like I hit those moments, I needed a little bit of a push towards something specific. So I made two boxes, one with items to play with and another box with parameters, and I just started like exploring my own stash. So when I don't have an unboxing, or I just feel like there's so many things I want to play with, but I don't know exactly what is gonna inspire me, this kind of gives me a little parameter boost, so to speak. So from the play box today, I'm gonna pick one thing and we'll see if it's something I actually am prepared to do today, because some of the items in here are like resin or things I'm not necessarily prepared to do. So the first one is embossing folders. That's really funny because I was just thinking the other day I need to play with my embossing folders a little bit more. So okay, that's doable. And for parameters, I like to pick like 3-ish. I feel out the box a little bit. Sometimes I'm like, oh, those parameters do not fit. Oh, this one fell out, so let's see what this one is. It is neutrals. Oh, okay. So however that gets interpreted. This is kind of like craft roulette, but this is just one person. If you want to follow along and feel inspired, go for it. Next one is... oh, use my Gemini. Good thing my Gemini is right next to me and plugged in. So perfect. Okay. We may need a fourth parameter. All right, that one fell out. So scan and cut. Oh. So that means I'm going to be cutting out, die cutting, and cutting out. So probably, okay, so yeah, the embossing folder will use the Gemini, neutral colors, and we'll scan and cut something. Okay, we'll find a fourth parameter. Oh, 3 just fell out. That doesn't count. All right, this one looks good. What is this one? Mica spray. Ooh, mica spray with neutrals. Okay, I feel like I need one more parameter. 4 just isn't enough. Maybe it's the mixed media person in me, but all right, this one feels like it's a winner. Paste or other 3D medium. See, I called it. We just mixed media'd that. Okay, so a 3D medium, mica spray, neutrals, using the Gemini, the scan and cut, and embossing folders. Okay, I can think of a few things that might meet similar parameters. I'm putting the wrong box in the wrong tray in the wrong box, I should say. Okay, so this is doable. This is definitely doable. I'm going to go explore my crafty space, and by the magic of video, I will see you back in a couple minutes. I mean, in a couple seconds. All right, I've gathered a handful of things. It took me a little longer because I realized a couple things. One, I can only either have the Gemini plugged in or the scan and cut plugged in, and currently the scan and cut is blocked by 2 carts of active projects, so I am going to veto the scan and cut out of my project. So I do have a stencil that I will use the Astro paste for. I've picked cookie dough, so I will set that aside. I've chosen, at least as long as everything goes great, I've chosen this Mariner's Weave. Now, I'm going to be playing pattern on pattern. I may not like it, so I'm already foreshadowing that I might change my mind in the middle of this. But for now, I'm going to start with this. This is from the embossing folder of the month for June 25, and it's called Mariner's Weave, but I'm gonna kind of be a little more sweater weather with it. I also have grabbed a couple of mica sprays, a overheated and golden hour solar spray by Simon Hurley. Yay! And then I grabbed a neutral dye ink pen, the grr. So I will be playing with a mix of all of this to get the embossing folder, mica spray, paste, and using the Gemini and keeping neutrals in mind. I do have a little hint of reddish that I'm going to pull into it as a pop of color, but for the most part, everything else will be neutral. So let's go ahead and dive on in and see where we get to. I'm going to put my stamps to the side. So first we're going to start with, this is kind of a cream, a grayish cream color. It's not fully cream, it's not fully gray. It's kind of very neutral, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down. This is what I'm going to use for my sweater embossing folder, or the Mariner embossing folder. I'm calling it the sweater. And I will cut it down to the A2 size card front. So I'm just going to cut 4 card fronts right off the bat. If I use it for anything else, it's totally fine. But for right now, and to simplify life, this is how we're going about it. All right, setting my trimmer aside. Now I'm going to grab my embossing folder, and I will attempt to be as quick as possible, mostly because it's a beautiful day and I intend to enjoy some of it. Now, I'm going to do something I've only dreamt about doing, but I've never actually done. So let me visualize roughly where this is going to go. I have my brayer. I'm going to use this brayer to get some red. I have the Simon Hurley Game Over ink pad, and I'm going to ink it up where you can see me. This is a technique I've been wanting to try for a while and just haven't gotten around to it. But basically, I'm using the raised part of that embossing folder and I am inking it up. And there's no exact science to this, especially because this is a technique I just haven't tried yet. I've thought about it over and over again, just haven't tried it yet. And my thought process is to make it the ink darker on the edges and lighter in the middle, but I could be wrong that I'm even doing this correctly. All right, so I feel like that's enough ink. Place that up there, and then try to place my paper in the middle of my inked up area. And straight as can be. Okay, so now I'm going to go throw it through the Gemini behind me and be right back. All right, now that I've run it through, here's the reveal, and I love the results. It's not as deep and as dark as I anticipated, but it also could be my ink pad is getting a little old. Need some re-inking soon. So not super disappointed. Definitely was not the result I was expecting, but I love it anyways. And I think it's really cute, and I'm gonna go with it. So the next thing, it's gonna take me a little bit to figure out exactly how I wanna do it, but I have a stencil. And I'm going to do it on this sheet. It has, my children were playing with it, so it's not fully fully used yet. So I have this stencil. It's called Cable Knit. And I'm going to go ahead and set this up and be back. As promised, there is a tiny pivot happening here. When I set the sweater stencil down, I realized that the dimensions and the width, even going elongated, was too thick to really make that pattern work. It would look very odd and only, you know, just it wasn't fitting for the look. So now we're pivoting and we're going to use the twinkle. So we're still going to do that pattern on pattern concept. I'm not negating that portion. I'm going to put some mint tape here though at the very top in hopes that it does hold. I'm not going to do the full sheet, but I do want to allow myself that kind of space to be able to cut down to the dimension. And I'm probably going to use this for a few different things, but I have this cookie dough astro paste, so it's a little less bold, but it's still fun. So I'm just going to go ahead and place them down. It's kind of fitting that I picked the twinkle because, of course, astro paste has that glitter and shimmer and goodness in it. Excuse me. It is super hot today on National Card Making Day. Or is it international? I don't know. Whoops. I should have looked before I decided to say that, but whatever. It's dry and hot and humid today, which is a switch because it's October in Wisconsin. So we also have baseball going on, so I've been watching intently. We also have football going on. I didn't find out the end of that game. I'll have to find out later how those Wisconsin Badgers did. But we had multiple screens going on for a minute, and I'm like, oh, this is information overload. It was fun and entertaining for a minute, and then the kids got their tablets out, and I was like, okay, I am overwhelmed. This is a lot. So we had to turn a few things off, which is fun. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna overdo because I want the option to trim down. And I'm actually thinking I'm gonna change the direction and go from portrait to landscape now that I'm doing this. Because I'm gonna keep it simple with my sentiment. I'm not going to do any ink coloring. I'm gonna just, knowing that I've already done a lot for the pattern on pattern, I know visually the eye is gonna be overwhelmed. So we're gonna keep the sentiment simple. Okay, I feel like that's enough astro paste for me to cut down to the right size, save as much astro paste as possible, paint my nails with it too, apparently. It's okay. I have to also figure out how to get the lunar paste that is on our walls off our walls. I just have this micro fiber towel at the ready, since I am not going to attempt to put water on my space because it has not worked well for me in the past. Just being honest. Okay, so I'm going to scrape up and over. So up, up, and then over. And so this cutoff part will have like a cool ombre effect going on. And then going to save the astro paste again right into the edge. more good scrape. All right. And I will let this dry and be back when it is not so wet, so we can continue to play. Now that it's had a little time to dry, I'm gonna go ahead and be brave and try to cut it down. I'm gonna cut down the edge here, kind of line it up where that my daughter made a little slice into the paper. Just slice that off and use that for some random strip of whatever. And then we'll continue along that same idea and just trim right up to the edge of where she cut there. Actually, let's do it from this side. It seems like less ability to wobble. All right, and then setting that aside. Now I'm gonna cut another sliver off. I think about 1.25 inches. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right, another sliver for another project. And then this is where I actually have to measure. So 4.25. So I want it to be 3 3/4, because I'm going to take a full 1/2 inch off so you can see the edge of this. All right, that is taken off. And then 5 inches. So that should leave me with a few mixed media edge pieces that I can play with for another project. So I will just set them aside, and then we're gonna just continue to keep it simple. So now we have this beautiful edging. It no longer really looks like sweater weather, which is fine because the sentiment I picked really isn't anything to do with sweater weather. Whew, sweater weather. Wow, that was all of a sudden very difficult to say. Go figure. Just me being real right now. All right, so next we're going to take one of these spare gray, or I guess we're calling it gray, grayish, neutralish color, and plopping it down in the misty. And then I'm going to pick my sentiment. It's going to be, thanks for always being there when I can't afford therapy. I'm going to use the game over again. Might as well tie that red right back in. And because it's dry, like we figured out before, I'm going to probably have to do a few extra taps in that color. Oh, and it fully lifted. So hopefully this does not double stamp. If it does, guess what? We have more paper. And it's okay. Please don't double stamp. It worked. Okay. That's what I get for putting it right down to the very corner. But it's perfect. Okay. So no embossing powder, nothing like that. We're going to keep it simple there. Let it dry a smidge. And then cutting it down. And I'm going to cut it down where I believe it'll look centered. Fingers crossed. Centered enough. I am going to off screen spray the golden hour on my sentiment. And I'm basically, gotta shake it up, shake, shake, shake. I have to spray it off screen. One, because my computer is directly next to, my computer is right here. So at the very top of what you see is my computer, and we don't need that. But second off is because I don't have any kind of box to keep it in. So I am actually going to spray it in my lap with a microfiber in my lap so I won't stop filming. But I'm angling it down and angling my paper down. And then I'm going to dab it just a hair because all of a sudden it got into my therapy saying and it's making it a little smudgy, which I kind of love because then it just made it a little Hot Mess Express. I'm going to show you close. It made it Hot Mess Express, which I love that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So now I'm definitely going to add the overheated as well. I will try my best not to get it into the sentiment part. Words are hard when I'm thrown off by what I'm doing. All right, so that solar spray was not as colorful as I thought it would be, but it gave me an idea. I'm gonna do the same solar spray for this. Keep it shimmery. It's not as red, and this is the first time I'm using the solar spray, so I'm just going to give it 2 squirts of that, and you'll see how it really solarized that. Okay, and then I'm going to use the golden hour on this one on just the edges because really the middle part doesn't need anything. And I'm going to put this under an acrylic block because I see how it's warping already. All that extra moisturization. Yes, I'm making up words. It's okay. All right, spraying down into my lap. Just the edges. Zhuzhing and sparkling up that gray that looks pretty white with the embossing, with the ink in the embossed areas. All right, so my lap is pretty glittery. Not gonna lie, I did not miss my clothes. I got my clothes pretty good. Good thing most of this is water soluble, I think, I hope, I don't know. I cannot tell you for sure if that's the fact. But I'm gonna clean up my space, let things dry a little bit, and be right back. All right, now that they've all had a lovely time drying and they're not too much coming off on my hands when I lift them up, they are ready to go. I have my A2 size card base, Nina 110 pound cardstock white, and I am using a generous-ish, say that 10 times fast, generous layer of glue because it's an embossing folder, so it's got to sit in there in the grooves, but still adhere where there aren't grooves. So that takes a little bit of finessing, and since it's edge to edge, I'm just going to line up one edge, then the next edge, knowing that sometimes these aren't always exact measurements, especially because I think with the moisture, the card front kind of shrunk a little bit. So there's that. All right, I'm going to start adding my glue to the star base, and doesn't need as much behind it. centering it. I did think about being asymmetrical and I decided, nope, I'm gonna keep this centered and let the sentiment be asymmetrical. And yes, I did stamp this again off screen. Why? Because you'll notice I double stamped it. When it was drying, I was like, oh, I'm losing all of the color and definition of the words. Well, I double stamped it, and yeah, telling on myself, a little cheat off screen here, but that is okay. It's not really a pivot. It was just I'm noticing that it just was bleeding too much, and double stamped. All right, and then taking that off. I was a little over messy with my glue, but I'm going to put it to the edge of just that front card base. I'm not going to, or that first layer, not to the edge of the second layer, the framing. With that sweater that's not really a sweater. I love all the shimmer and the glitter and the mixed media look that is going on here. It definitely is just a little bit outside. It definitely was not what I was envisioning when I saw those initial parameters. Just being blunt and honest about it. But I hope you love it. Thank you all for joining me today in my little pivot and experiment in trying to put some parameters out there that hopefully spark some inspiration for you all, not just me kind of watching me fumble a little bit live-ish. I had to stop a few times, obviously, for dry time, but definitely feel like I really enjoy the look of this card. It's stunning and it's fun and shimmery and cute and simple, even in a mixed media-ish way. So I can't call it completely clean and simple, but it's near that. I don't know. What say you? Is this remotely clean and simple, or do you think this is more mixed media, hardcore, grungy? Just allow everything to fly and see what hits the wall. Thank you all for joining me today. I really had fun trying to step outside the boundaries of just, an unboxing or what I can sell to you or whatever. I had fun. Anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Don't forget to find the joy in your day and happy making. Bye.